Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Otter Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm Jamie. That's Eli.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. It is Wednesday. It's a Booty Wednesday, and
Hump day.
it is Hump Day. But yeah, a little ass backwards here tonight. But oh well, it is what it is. But yes, welcome in everybody to Otter Rhythm Fantasy. I am your host Jamie, and my co-host Eli over there on the oddest, weirdest side of it all. But welcome in. And just make sure you guys follow us on all social media sites. Apple, Spotify, Discord. All the links are in the description below. Give us a like and subscribe to our channel. We would greatly appreciate it. We're like 139 people. Maybe we can get 140, 131, 33, 44, 10,000 people. I really don't know, but just something to help us along our journey of college fantasy football.
Yeah. Stole my line there. Yeah, all the good stuff, all the archive stuff. It's all on Spotify, YouTube. Got a YouTube Shorts. We got a bunch of platforms we're on. Discord, obviously, Jay's on there quite a bit. Instagram, we need to get a little bit better at. We self-admittedly, but
Yeah, I wouldn't say about have to get better about it. I think it's just mostly real. It's just mostly having the time to make reels and shorts and stuff like that. Really, from our streams and stuff like that. But it's a slow work in progress, man. It all depends on what I have time for, and I try to make a little time for a little bit of each here and there. So I mean, I don't want to be all social media and not have a life. But yeah.
Well, well, there's some guys that was there some guys that called you out on ESPN? I'm in one of those. I'm in one of those moods. I'm in one of those moods tonight where I'm like, yeah. So there were some clowns that were trying to. So what exactly started that then? Jay was over.
It was funny because I said bye, Brandon Ayukin. And one guy's like, "Oh, you think that's funny?" I'm like, "What? Funny because he got paid and didn't put up any fantasy production that people think this guy is total elite." And so they just kind of went off, and we just have a bunch of immature freaking 40-year-old men, and it's kind of sad to kind of see things like that. But it kind of is what it is. I'm not gonna put out names, but it's very childish to see guys like that in the Discord world that they can't disconnect from actual real reality, and everything's got to be fantasy football, or they put too much emotion on players when it's just a fantasy football game in general. So it's kind of sad, pathetic in all.
Well, it's one of these like online argument deals, and it's I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't totally.
Well, you seen the screenshots to be like, oh wow,
yeah. He sent me the screenshots, and I was like, what is this Mickey Mouse shit? Like what the fuck is this? Yeah, just seems like grown adults going after each other, or trying to like gang up on Jamie. Oh, we know this guy, it's like we're fucking random online people. I mean, we really are. We know we're friends in real life, but it's like the rest of these people, like some guy could be from fucking Maryland, some guy could be from Minnesota, some guy could be from fucking Germany. Like we don't know where the fuck these guys are from. Like they don't know you in person.
Yeah, this guy.
Are they playing fantasy leagues with us or with you? And that's
oh god, no! These two clowns don't play any fantasy with me. So, I mean, the one guy. I mean, it's kind of sad to kind of see someone's mentality in this within the league itself have the same mentality of immaturity, and it's for me it's one of those things. Right, block, delete, get the hell it's one of those things you avoid in an instant. It's it's gonna be a bad league in general. Just the morale around it. Just because everybody. It was funny because they were trying to trade. People were trying to get me, or they were trying to trade for Kelsey, and I'm like, dude, this guy's not a top. I'm not gonna. I'm like, no, I was trying to take over a team that was totally trash, and people trying to take a best player, and they in the chat, everybody started groaning and moaning and like, get this guy out of here. Like just immature, it just shows the immaturity levels of people out there in general. It's a damn sport, but it is what it is, really, honestly.
I'd go into I'd go into deeper detail, but they'd have to invite me over to their channel or to their fucking page, and then I could have a little one-on-one sparring.
And I can send you a link. You just
put these I would love to put these motherfuckers in their place. Just saying.
Hey, I mean, it's pretty easy. Just all I do is send you a link, and you just all I gotta do is hit one button, and you're in. You know, I mean, it's pretty easy.
Send me the link right now. I got my fucking phone. I blew our load earlier. I put up I put up some of the fucking DraftKings things we were doing. So got the graphic up. I had to pull it back down. You know, then we put up our some of the places we're located online. So
all right. Well, you gotta all you gotta do is check your Discord app there and your messages, and all you gotta do is hit his accept, and you're good to go. And we'll have a party.
I'm gonna, you know what? I need something to, you know what? I'm not quite right. I've been working all day. My fucking side hustle told me my side hustle told me they no longer needed my services. So it's been a fucked up couple hours for me, but trying to get my head on right. I think that was like an Eminem lyric at one time, but let me get the rest of my energy drink here.
But I think that's our rant for today. There's things that are childish, and you just have to look past a lot of this stuff. You know, I mean, it's fantasy football. You know, I mean,
it's fucking fantasy. It's like you're criticizing him on a personal level, and you were just defending yourself.
Oh yeah, like, most definitely.
You motherfucker, you motherfuckers act, is immature. You're like, we're grown ass men here. Like, let's act like adults. And then they were just, it's like they were just tagging in on you. That's why I'm saying you needed me. I would have been your tag team partner in that. I'd be like, I'm the only one that's allowed to talk trash to him. You don't say any trash. Don't say anything bad about Jamie.
I mean, I think if you think about it, all even though we've covered NFL fantasy before, but we decided to go the college route. But I mean, we still talk a little bit NFL a little bit, on the side a little bit. I mean,
oh yeah,
absolutely. And a lot of us drafted Brandon Ayuk in pretty high in a lot of our first or second round. So I mean, he was a very high draft pick, for
shit the bed.
Yeah, he did. He pretty much did. And that's it's just like, dude. Plus, the other thing too, I was kind of thinking of, a lot of these guys end up getting these contracts, this year. Look at CeeDee Lamb. He got a big ass contract. He hasn't been elite yet. He hasn't seen, his elite production has kind of fallen off just a little bit. I mean, just because the Dallas offense in general, so I mean, for me, I was just kind of thinking about some of these guys that ended up getting some of these contracts this year. And I'm just like, you look at it more in a fantasy production, like, well, a lot of these guys haven't really produced, and Brandon Ayuk is one of those guys at the same time, even though the downfall is he got injured. I mean, yeah, it's a shitty part about it, but I mean, we're looking at it as more as a fantasy production. He didn't really do anything to, cash in on his value.
He played 7 games. Okay. And they're 3 and 4, by the way. Oh, it's McCaffrey's out and all this, making all these excuses. It's like you're about to pay Purdy some Dak money, right? Because they're thinking that right now, like, oh, we got to pay him $55 or $60 million a year. Are you out of your fucking mind? It's our little NFL bit before we get into the college. But I do set this straight because this might be the short this week. Because those two clowns over there, those two motherfuckers over on, well, I work for ESPN. Bullshit. Fuck out of here. Ayuk and motherfucker had one of the 7 games over 50 yards receiving. Yeah. I mean, it was a big game, Jay. It was a big game. It was that where he got 12 targets and 147 yards, with the Cardinals. But the other 6 games, he shit the bed. He looked mediocre. He didn't look like a $30 million a year receiver. Are you crazy? I think no. I forget what they get. I think it was like $75 million guaranteed. I forget what the guaranteed amount was, but it's like, yeah, dude, you're supposed to. You're paid like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're paid like an AJ Brown. You're paid. I'll go down the list of like number 1 receivers, Tyreek. Just go down the list. You're paid like these guys, and you were putting up like low end receiver 2 production. So
yeah, pretty much. That's why I said
here with that. He was junk. he wasn't Deshaun Watson bad, but he wasn't living up to the contract. That's all it is.
No,
It's
he
all
wasn't.
guaranteed money. If me and Jay, if at our jobs, look at me, at our jobs, if we break anything on ourselves, like, obviously we can maybe go through insurance, like through his wife or through my work, but you know what I mean? Like, nobody's crying. Nobody's. No, we're not getting letters sent to the hospital and a bunch of nonsense. It's fucking. This guy was guaranteed, life, generational changing money, and so I feel bad he got hurt, but it's like good riddance. Good riddance for the year. He'll be back next year. He's not dead. He wasn't Ricky Pearsall getting shot. It's not a life changing injury.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk will be back just fine 2025. We both of us didn't understand the contract. Both of us think he should have been traded, and let some other dumb team. That's why the 49ers are on a downslide right now. It's not all the injuries, it's some of the bad contracts they have. They're 3-4 mediocre team. Who gives a shit?
I mean, look at all the wide receivers.
I'm tired of the 49ers.
I mean, look at all the talent they have, but yet they're on the downside just like Dallas is. So I mean, it's one of those same concepts. It's like I mean, look at the Bengals. I mean, they have all the weapons they got, and they're half-assed too.
Bengals are coming. If Bengals are 3-4, I know they beat some bad teams, Giants and Browns, but Bengals they still have a pulse. You got to put a stake in Burrow. You got to injure him for the year, or you got to put a stake in him like a vampire to keep that man down. So
yeah,
I watch out if you want a team to get hot in the second half, or a player or a couple fantasy players to look at on the NFL side. Look at all the Bengals. Eric All, the rookie tight end. I think he could be a breakout guy towards the end of the year.
I got him on my fantasy teams right now.
Yeah,
that's on one of my. No, I actually drafted him, which was kind of funny. I heard it from Mike over there at the Fantasy RPG podcast. He was talking about Eric All one day. Yep. So I'm like, ooh, I thanked him. I'm like, hey, Mike, thank you. I have Eric All on my taxi squad.
Now I feel better. We talked a little bit of football. We're not fucking up the graphics. I got a little bit of my Celsius here. I feel better. Yeah. They let. I was telling whoever a couple minutes ago, Jared sympathizes with me. Jake Bates, the fucking kicker's hurt. The stupid running back's hurt.
I actually picked up Bates in a league, and then I dropped his ass. I'm like, yeah,
right. I want that Reichard. I want that fucking Reichard from the Vikings. That guy's automatic.
Here's the crazy thing is I actually picked up the Packers the guy that they actually had for a kicker. Dude, he was kicking damn well, and then they cut him. Like, what?
Was it Anders Carlson?
I think so. I mean,
he's with the 49ers now, isn't he?
I'm not sure exactly. It was a guy they cut here not too long ago. I mean, he had 8 to 9, 10 points. I mean, he was kicking double digits. So I'm like, why in the hell did they let him go? But
because of that playoff game. Playoffs.
Probably. But anyways, guys, that's enough NFL talk. Enough ranting. We pretty much
down to business.
Yeah, we'll get to our business here. Eli's gonna give you his Blacklist Player of the Week. We have a couple of studs.
All right.
Hey, get out of here. No one wants to see that garbage. But anyways, we have studs and duds. Eli will give you some props for sleepers, and then we'll do to end the show. We'll have some squad blitz for you too as well. And I know we got quite a bit up in here. College waivers, and then we'll just some notable games to watch for this weekend. There'll be some actual notable games for this weekend to watch. And then Eli he'll bring up his 6 players to watch for the weekend. So
yes. First, we gotta review week 8. Some of the big games. Oregon, I mean, they rolled. We don't need to talk about that. I did watch. I don't know if you watched it too Friday night, Jay, but BYU beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State actually had a damn pulse for a change on offense. I mean, Presley looked good. Bowman, even that damn Ollie Gordon. I mean, so Oklahoma State actually showed up. I mean, that was a thriller. BYU pulled it out.
There was a guy I written down that was kind of I mean, the other like it was funny to
Fucking
think about because
Indiana.
I was that was a game I was watching quite a bit. I was watching the BYU game, and there's a couple guys off waivers that I will mention, and we'll kind of talk about. Where the hell did I do? Oh, so here it is. There was actually a couple guys. His name is it's kind of like Shetterton. His name, I think it's Tracy or Trayson Setterton from the Cowboys, and I think he was kind of a little bit down on their their roster a little bit. You know, some of the guys, their main guys, and he ended up kind of having a big game for them. So I'm like, interesting. So maybe a lot of the guys that end up going to the draft, this might be a guy we might be looking at for maybe next year on our rosters.
Quite possibly.
Yeah,
Oklahoma State, they got some guys moving on, so it definitely bump up the depth chart.
yeah,
Did now I mentioned Oklahoma or Indiana rolled Nebraska. Don't need to get into that. I thought that was
yeah.
going to be I look like a fucking idiot. I thought that was going to be a good game. I thought Nebraska, maybe had a puncher's chance. No, Indiana's filthy good. They might be like this year's Cinderella.
Yeah, I set up some props and stuff like that for the weekend, and then I'm like, I want to watch some Nebraska, and I'm like, all right, I'm sitting here and just watching them. I'm like, okay, first
Click.
quarter, yeah, and I was like, screw it. So I ended up going out doing some other stuff. I stopped watching college football, then I ended up watching more of the evening games. But I'm like, what the hell? Like, it seemed like Nebraska couldn't get nothing going. The freshman, he kind of looked terrible a little bit. He threw some picks up in there. It looked like he didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, for Nebraska to have a bye, you would think they kinda get their shit together and like, "All right, guys, we gotta do it." They were it's funny to say that they actually let how many freaking rushing touchdowns in? They didn't let one in at all year, and now all of a sudden they give up freaking what, 2 rushing or 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns? It's like, "What?"
Well, it benefited me because I took Indiana's rushing as my squad blitz. So I mean, I whooped that. I think I had the highest point total of the week of anybody in our league, but so it helped me. But yeah, they couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, it was
It's one thing to give up 50, and they might give up 56 points to Ohio State this weekend. You know what I mean?
I think that might
Nebraska had such a high hopes, and they could be looking at 5-3 real quick.
yeah. I think you can put another L in this column this weekend because I mean they don't stand a chance against freaking the Buckeyes. With the talent they got, the dual threat running backs, the freaking wide receivers. Yeah. So there's just gonna be no way they're gonna win. There's no way they're gonna beat them. I think Ohio State's freaking top 3, top 4 team. I can't remember exactly.
Yep, number 4.
Number 4. Yeah, I couldn't remember where they were in the rankings, but yeah, just crazy to think about that. I had high hopes for Nebraska, and they came out pretty hot. And can they win 7 to get a bowl? It's kind of like, I'm hoping.
They'll beat UCLA, so that's 6.
Yeah,
and then if they can, I was thinking maybe like 9-3 was possible, but I think 7-5 is probably more realistic for this team. Raiola is going to need to improve a lot by next year. I mean, he same, and we're going to talk about Nico. Nico might be getting blacklisted here, so Raiola might be next. So these young freshmen, freshman phenoms,
you can't do that to him. Come on now.
Well, let me explain here. But these young freshman phenoms, Raiola, Nico, I mean, they look great the first couple weeks against lesser competition, but when you start playing some powerhouse SEC and Big Ten teams, I mean, we've seen them kind of exposed. I mean, really. So Raiola is going to need to get a lot better. I think anything. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say, just thinking about freshmen and stuff we have to kind of think of them as kind of like rookies when they come into the NFL. They're kind of getting their feet wet. They're kind of understanding the offense. Kind of understanding defenses and stuff like that. But that's just a general observation. I think the more and more these, the fresh, these, rookie freshmen play and start, the more and more they'll end up getting better and be able to read and, get the offense. There's some teams that I kind of seen where they were just kind of like, fourth quarter, they needed points, and you can see like some of these teams, they weren't actually like motivated enough. They're just kind of like in slow motion trying to get down to the line, and they have to be a little bit more fast paced if you want to get a score in, or trying to get a first down. So there's some teams out there that you can just see that if they're down, their motivation, it seems like it's not there.
Like with us as human beings, when we're depressed as fuck, our attitudes are bad. Our productivity is shit. Oh God. Speaking of shitty productivity, I think it's time for Arch Manning, man. I think it's time for some Arch. I think, yeah, not the golden arches McDonald's, but the Arch. Fucking Quinn Ewers. Dude. When you're with the number one team in the country with the number one NIL budget, when you have a loaded team like this on both sides of the ball, you better be competing for the Natty. I think Texas would get knocked out in the first round with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. I mean, I think that there's some, maybe a sleeper, if it ends up being Boise. I mean, I think Boise would even have a chance to beat them with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. He's good. He's a good college quarterback. He's not great. I'd take my chance with Arch. I really would. Georgia just played games with them. Like, that wasn't even fucking 30-15. I mean, it wasn't even that close, man. It was like 23-0, and they were just toying with them. I think I just let off the throttle a little bit towards the end. But did you catch any of that Georgia-Texas game?
No, actually I didn't, because I was actually being productive outside, so I didn't really see a lot of that. So I missed out on it because I actually wanted to watch a little bit of the Tennessee Alabama
kicked
game.
out of my place. I had to move on the spot, so I got the game on in the background. I got the vacuum going over here. I got fucking
the game I actually was watching was the Iowa UCF game. And I was like, "Oh shit, dude!" So I thought Iowa State was actually going to be upset, and they actually happened to throw one of their balls to one of their main guys, and scored a touchdown at the end. I was a freaking happy fucking camper, I'll tell you that. Like, there's no way in the hell that freaking it was a close game. To be honest with you, it was a very close game, and
there's no reason that UCF should be that bad. I mean they should be right up there. With K-State, maybe not BYU and Iowa State, but at least K-State, Texas Tech, teams like that, they should be, at that level, because RJ Harvey, the running back, is an absolute stud. I mean, he was giving Iowa State fits. I thought for a minute UCF could pull the upset too. I watched a little bit of that, but Jefferson, he's got limitations at quarterback, obviously.
I had high hopes. I actually had high hopes for Jefferson, him coming from Arkansas and actually kind of going to an offense that actually opens up their offense to, wide receivers and stuff like that. So I was hoping that Jefferson, I think he's coming into the draft this year. So I was hoping that maybe this would kind of help him kind of get into it. He might not be on my draft radar after this one, but it was kind of one of those things, kind of, I had kind of some high expectations to kind of see what his abilities were. Cause I mean, he's got a little rushing upside to him a little bit, but he kind of sticks in the pocket as much as he can. But, I haven't, I didn't really see that coming from him. So I was very little disappointed in him a little bit in that aspect. And for them to like, oh, well, time to bench and get somebody else in here. I thought maybe he would help this offense actually score tons of points, but wasn't the case.
No, absolutely. More Big 12, fucking Colorado. I mean, they smoked Arizona, which I said they would last week. And it pretty much went exactly how I had it planned. Fafita played like shit for Arizona. McMillan didn't do much anything. I don't know. Fucking Utah lost. Utah, stick a fork in them. I don't even, with Isaac, with young, the Milf Hunter Jr. at quarterback. Shit, I don't know if Utah can get to 7 wins. I mean, they might be a 6-6. I mean, they are bad. Utah is a bad team now. I don't know what the hell. I mean, I didn't know Cam Rising meant that much, but Utah's awful. BYU, obviously, won again. Iowa State. K-State, they got a winnable game against Kansas this week. So I mean, Big 12's still open, for that playoff spot to, see which one of these teams is going to step up. Texas Tech is even still in the mix. They got some players. Taj Brooks, the running back, they got some players I like a lot too. Go over to I guess Miami. Miami barely got by Louisville. I knew it was going to be a tough game. I called that last week. They went toe to toe, and Miami, Miami's like, what do they call them? The cardiac kids. Just barely getting by, but keeping that ACC lead. But Clemson's right there lurking, man. Like Clemson, I think is up to number 8 or number 9. So they're right there with Miami. So Miami's got to be careful because they might just get jumped out. Even a 1-loss Clemson, they might just get jumped outright in the rankings here if they're not careful. Keep toying around with these mediocre teams. But
yeah, it's funny to think because we're just looking at the top. Finally, we got Michigan up out of there. Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt, right at the end
USC
of
lost again.
A top 25 team. So it's I think for a notable game this weekend, we'll end up talking about the BYU against somebody, and that could be a struggle game because that team can upset any team at any time, even though they are a very trashy team at the moment. But they are a team that actually could come in and actually upset BYU, and I'm like, I really don't want that to happen because BYU, I mentioned it here earlier that I had BYU going like 6-5 and losing 5 games, and very totally unexpected BYU team this year.
Yeah, no. They keep rolling along, keep winning. I think honestly, I think Indiana should be ranked over BYU. I think Indiana should be number 11 and BYU should be number 13. Indiana's fucking legit.
Yeah,
I mean,
BYU, they don't really put up the points that we would like, or I think they're
Retzloff, Jay Retzloff, the quarterback just isn't. He's not good enough to, even if they did get in the playoff, if they were like the 11 seed or something, 10 seed, they'd get bounced. Retzloff's not good enough. I like the running backs. I like, especially LJ Martin, the running back. But
I think they're kind of like a mediocre Los Angeles Rams. They got the team, but it's kind of like it's getting over that hump. They got great players, but it's it's putting up the points that we all kind of want to see them dominate. So I mean, they're kind of mediocre in that aspect.
Like they need to go and they need to take one of these lower end, Big 12 teams and just mop like a Baylor, a team like that, and just mop the floor with them. Like just fucking 52-7 or something, 52-10.
Yeah, we really haven't seen those blow.
Indiana just wasted Nebraska. I mean, that's to make a statement, for these teams that are like, that the maybe ranked number 10 to like 20. You got to make a statement. You're not getting into the playoff, with as an at-large team. Just oh hey, I'm gonna skip. Not everybody's Miami. Not everybody's got Cam Ward. Cam Ward's the fucking Heisman favorite. Him and Ashton, but. Like,
I guess they had a couple notable ones. I mean, they beat Kansas State 38-9. I mean, Kansas State's kind of a good team, kind of mediocre, good team.
That's probably their best win. But I mean, that's their. I mean, it's a really good
Arizona.
Win, but...
Now they played Arizona 41-19. I mean, that's a little bit better, but I mean, it's still kind of.
You gotta put like they need this. They just need like a statement, like a 63-7. Just some kind of statement game, like just whoop that ass, like so they can differentiate them. Yeah, so they can differentiate themselves from Iowa State and some of these other undefeated teams too. I think fucking Liberty's still undefeated. They're playing right now. I think.
Yeah, it's 14-14 right now, and they're playing Kent State.
Kennesaw State.
Yeah,
there's another team. That's another team that's fucking like Liberty's fucking around too. Like they're fucking around with all these bad teams, these bad programs. Like, Liberty might be 12-0 and not ranked. at this pace.
I guess is Liberty a team that will could be in the playoff conversations with
Fuck
freaking
no.
Army and freaking Navy with Boise State? Are they going to be a team that is their schedule going to be good enough for them to actually be contenders?
There could be a 2-loss G5 team that would be ahead of fucking Liberty right now. The way Liberty's been, I mean, at least with Miami, they're playing ACC teams and just barely getting by. I mean, fucking Liberty is struggling with the lower end Sun Belt teams. You know what I mean? Like it's a damn joke. Or AAC or
I think they're Sun Belt team. Yep. They just entered the FCS this year, but it's kind of those things where we see a lot of these teams that should be good and they should be blowing out teams, but like I mentioned, there's a team that's been mediocre, and a Baylor team that is their defense is actually pretty stout here and there. I mean, they can put up points if they want to, but they can. It's one of those teams that you think you should be able to beat them, but in turns, they're the team that stays in. They actually stay with you, for point most time. So I mean, it's a team like that kind of you think about that comes around that's unexpected. It's crazy to think about those things. It's like, oh shit. I mean, Baylor had a pretty good outing here this weekend. I think they won. I don't remember exactly the score, but I looked at it, I just seen the score. I'm like, dude. I mean, Baylor beat somebody this weekend. So I mean, it was a pretty high scoring game. I think it was like 38-39 or some crap like that, but it was a high scoring game.
Of course, you have to look through the mud to find the Baylor game because they've been irrelevant for so long. Hello, RG3, you there? Baylor needs some help.
What about those?
They actually did. They actually beat Texas Tech. That's a good win because Texas Tech, Morton, the quarterback, I like. Todd Brooks is a stud, the running back, and Texas Tech is 5-2, so. I mean, that's a good win there for we don't talk a lot of Baylor here. There's not a lot of Baylor waivers. There's not a lot of Baylor props that we use.
Well, I mean, when we think about Baylor, their prospects in the NFL are all trash. So I mean, they don't come to light to be.
The receivers. Oh God.
Well, was it the kid from? I think he was came from. I think he was up there in New England. He was a Baylor guy and didn't really pan out, and they shipped his ass out.
Sounds like all of them, and then TCU and Baylor, both.
It seems like they got the same. They got those two teams got the same
state, same players.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I mean, if you think about it in the prospect ways, I mean, a lot of them end up falling out and not being the greatest. And I have not seen a Baylor guy or a wide receiver that kind of like, oh, hey, maybe we can use this guy in fantasy, but.
Not a single one. Was there 134 FBS teams, and we haven't mentioned Baylor one time until week 9?
It's funny to think about it. We mentioned one TCU guy, and we haven't mentioned any Baylor yet, which is funny.
No. It's going to continue. Any other observations from week 8, or do you want me to get into my gold star?
I think it's time for us to get into the gold star player of the week.
Here we go. Mario Anderson Jr. So I've known about him all year because he's on my fantasy team, and he's had a very under the radar season. Memphis has had a very under the radar season, 6-1. Got a big game coming up here. Obviously you need to be undefeated, to be an AAC team and to be in the conversation of maybe the G5 representative in the playoff, be up there with Boise and Army, teams like that. So Memphis, that one loss is going to kill them. But I mean, Memphis is having a damn good year. And a lot of it is this guy, North Texas. He just shredded them. 22 carries, 183 yards, 4 touchdowns. And North Texas coming into that game was 5-1 too. So, I mean, it was a couple 5-1 teams and Memphis got the job done, got the 6-1. Caught 5 passes too. So, and then throughout the season, he's not putting up, flashy, Ashton numbers or Caleb Johnson from Iowa. He's not over 1,000 yards rushing or anything crazy, but, very, very. Oh, Pete, Oh, he's here. You missed the fireworks. We went after a couple guys. Been a while. How we living? We're well, he's living the same. I'm in a I'm kind of a pickle. As you can tell with my surroundings.
Hey, wait, no more palm tree. You know, what happened to the palm tree?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a fucking Rent-A-Center move. They just came in and pulled everything. But no, so this year, Jay, he's got 639 yards rushing, so averaging over 6 yards a carry. The main thing with him is the touchdowns, though. The yards, a lot of the yards just have come in the last couple weeks. I mean, he was really struggling on yards, but the touchdowns have been there all year. Even before this North Texas game, he had 8 rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, 12 rushing touchdowns. He had another one receiving, so he's got 13 total touchdowns. He's a guy that doesn't get mentioned a lot nationally. And Memphis either. Memphis is 6-1. He's got 13 total touchdowns. Got to give some love to Mario Anderson.
Oh, I actually haven't really had an opportunity to kind of like dig into the Memphis. I know Memphis, if you think about Memphis, we had can't think of our boy he's Denver.
Blake Watson. So
Blake Watson, yes.
This is kind of the guy that's replaced Blake then. New Diggs. Possibly. You want to go on a tour, Pete?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you think about it, Memphis, Tony Pollard came from there. If you think about it, some always good prospects that come out of
D'Angelo
Memphis.
Remember D'Angelo Williams back in the day with the Panthers and Steelers? He was a stud. I mean, this has been running back you.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been cranking him out. This guy might be the the next one in line. I'm loving it.
I don't have any. Unfortunately, I don't have any.
I'm loving it.
Congrats! Here's your Oakleys.
But I mean, I haven't really had any shares of, honestly, I actually haven't watched. I mean, I have their QB and a couple of my rosters, but I think it was a bye week. I slapped Manny. I don't think he was really doing so hot, so I was like, there were some other guys off waivers that I was able to, our daily, our Bryson Daly, our daily Carson Daly, we, got off waivers and stuff like that. So
Jay, who's the third leading rusher in the country in FBS?
Actually, that one I actually don't know. Oh, wait.
Bryson Daly. This guy's a fucking quarterback, and he has over 900 yards rushing after 7 games.
You have to be fucking kidding me.
Third leading yeah. I mean, like I put right there on the bottom scroll right there. I ain't lying. You got the usual suspects. You got Ashton. You got Caleb Johnson from Iowa. And then look, boom, number 3, Army. Bryson, don't call me Carson Daly, 909 yards. He's above your boy Omarion Hampton from UNC and the great RJ Harvey too.
That is insane, dude. What?
I couldn't believe it either. I was like, good. Because we've been talking about him. I had to stop. I had to pull him off the waivers because nobody wants quarterbacks anymore after like week 7 or something. So I couldn't keep talking about him on the waivers, but he's still there. They're literally people aren't fucking picking him up. Are you high? I can't put Bryson Daly as the gold star player every week. I mean, that would get old. He'd be week 5, 6, 7, 8. But no, Mario Anderson, outstanding. On the flip side, Jay, you notice how the graphic got a lot darker? Got gloomy. It looks like hell. There's a bulldog there. Rough. He's on the leash. I know they won. Obviously, Georgia roughed up on Texas. It had nothing to do with Carson Beck, though. I think that, and this guy, we haven't gotten into our, spotlight yet for the 2025 draft. But when we get, if we get into Carson Beck, I'm going to light him up because his draft stock has fallen immensely. I mean, we're talking maybe 2 rounds. From the start of the year where he was in the conversation with Shedeur and a lot of the could this guy be a top 5 pick, top 10 pick? Now it's laughable. Fucking look at 41 attempts, 175 yards, 3 picks, not giving you anything on the ground. He's not mobile. So 4 carries, 8 yards. That's a joke. Throughout the year, I mean, his stats are decent, but I mean, for the weapons he has and in being at Georgia, you think they'd be a little bit better. 19, almost 2,000 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. Completion percentage is, it's good, but I don't know, he just doesn't have that it factor. And I've been kind of waiting to do this because there's been a couple quarterbacks that are him, the two freshmen I mentioned earlier, Raiola and Nico. There's been some guys that are like overhyped. I think they're overrated, they're overhyped, and Beck is not. I mean, at least those two guys are freshmen, Jay. Like, there's hope for them the next couple of years. Beck's a veteran. We shouldn't be in this position with this guy. And he didn't really do anything special last year. What do you have? 24 touchdowns? He's not putting up a monster fucking 35, 40 touchdown season. He's not putting up a Burrow Tua kind of year. He's not even as good as Stetson Bennett. Eli, say you are high, so I'm high on life. You damn right I'm high.
Yeah.
Free as a bird. No.
I guess for me, to think about, Carson Beck was a guy that was pretty much high at, well, I mean, when we think about these, the SCEs, the SCE is going to be a more, fluent, it's going to get the spotlight and stuff like that. And here we are, Carson Beck's going to be in the spotlight. We kind of mentioned each time we kind of have we talk about some of these guys that, they put the spotlight on these guys. And, a guy like, Cameron Ward, he didn't really have like a spotlight last year. He was, with a pretty much a Pac-12 team that was, if you think about it, they were kind of mediocre. They kind of won, they won games here and there, but he transferred out and he went to Miami, and now look at him. I mean, he's getting more, spotlight than Carson Beck in general, so now it's going to come down to, hey, is Ward better than Carson Beck when we talk about the quarterback position?
Zero hesitation. Yes. Shador, yes. Cam, yes.
Is he better? Is he the kid from Old Miss? Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart, yeah. I'd take yeah. If I was an NFL team, I'd take Jackson Dart over Carson Beck. Absolutely. And then Ewers, him and Ewers are probably, because they're having similar trajectories. Only Beck's not going to get benched for Arch damn Manning. Arch, it's coming. Arch is taking that spot. But yeah, I don't see people calling out Carson Beck. I don't see, because Georgia's winning, number 2 team. I get it. But it's not because of him. A lot of it's that defense. Defense, great special team. The rest of the team is really, because even Trevor Etienne, the running back, is kind of, he's kind of blah. He's like,
yeah,
he's the guy. Like,
he finally had a good game this last weekend, and he put up like
he looked good against Texas. Yeah, I'll give him.
Yeah, so he put up some points finally. He finally actually kind of gotten it. I didn't really. I've been trying to kind of watch some a little bit more Georgia games, but I mean, I've been more kind of just watching other different teams in general. None of these like high end game. A lot of these more talked about games. I rather kind of watch some more of the smaller teams, smaller teams. But when you think about Bulldogs, it's like, yeah, they should win, whatever, blah blah blah. I hate talking about teams like these because they have so much spotlight all the time that it's boring to talk about because it's always the same thing. Well, the Bulldogs got a good team this year. How are their wide receivers? It's kind of the same bullshit stuff that ends up getting talked about. It's they're going to be in the spotlight all the time just because the media put them there.
That's another thing with their NIL budget. I mean, their receivers aren't really good this year. They're really not. You always think of like AJ Green and George Pickens. You think of guys like that. You think of Georgia, but I mean, they don't have anybody like anywhere near that level this year. So I mean, that might be affecting Beck a little bit. I'll give them a little bit on that, but this is Georgia. They got a huge NIL budget. I mean, you can shore up any of your problems. I know the depth is hurting for a lot of these bigger programs, but still, like, you should have some better high end players. I'm sorry. I got to do this. I'm sorry I got to do this here. This is bad. This is a problem. I should probably specify. This is probably just for redraft year-to-year leagues. Dynasty, I mean, there's still plenty, at least 2, possibly 3 years of Nico at Tennessee. So I don't see him transferring. I mean, Tennessee's got plenty of NIL money, and why would you leave? Josh Heupel's good coach, good program. They just beat fucking Alabama, so there's no reason for him to go. But he, like Carson Beck, I think he's been vaulted up. He's a little too big for his britches. He's been vaulted up and pedestalized, and people. Oh, Nico! You had people after the first couple games, Jay, that were saying he was the best quarterback in the country. I'm like, fucking Pete thinks I'm high. I think the rest of these, fucking pundits are high. I think the rest of these YouTube content creators are fucking high. They don't know what they're talking about. No, so I put, just to back this up, because people will be looking at me funny, like, okay, Eli, I get DJU. I get the way Ollie's been playing. I get that. But Nico, really? You're going to go there? Yeah, I'm going to go there. Weeks 1 to 4. Look at that. Completing almost 70% of his passes. He was averaging like 223 yards a game, 7 touchdowns, couple picks, but young rookie, going to make a few mistakes. Guy gave you something in the rushing game too. 117 rushing yards, a touchdown. And he was putting up good fantasy points. In head-to-head, he was putting up almost 22 points a game. Conversely, the last 3 games, he's been shit in the bed. I know they've been winning. I know that they're still in the playoff hunt. I get that. But the last 3 weeks, only completing like a little bit less than 50% of his passes, averaging about 173 passing yards a game, 1 touchdown in 3 games. I mean, that's pathetic. I even saw a stat. He's got 3 fumbles. Jay's got 3 fumbles, 1 lost in the last 3 games. Rushing yards, 62. He's not giving you any touchdowns. So
he's got five fumbles on the season so far already.
Yeah, so he's coughing the ball up. Interceptions, he's got 4, which isn't terrible for young freshman, but still, like, he's got
only 8 touchdowns. 9,
Yeah.
only 8 touchdowns and one.
I had to dig deep into this, because people people make it seem like he's better than like Carson Beck. People make it that just the name, the program, you think he's actually better than he is. But like for us, this is a fantasy show. This isn't like, I'm not giving any extra credit because you just beat Alabama or because you're a higher end SEC team. I get it, but this is a fantasy show. You've been shit in the bed. You need to be called out for it. And I think I've been benching him. I have him on one of my teams too, and I've been benching him. I can't start him. I mean,
yeah,
Nico,
I might have to. I have him in a league too.
Nico is unplayable right now.
I think so. I mean, just looking at his record here, 20, against Bama, 20 points. Florida, 8. Arkansas, 9. Oklahoma, probably Oklahoma, 18 points. Kentucky, only 18. Kentucky is very beatable. He should have had more than 18 some odd points. But I guess, that resorts to what I mentioned here with, the kid, Raiola, rookie. He came out guns blazing, pretty, he hasn't had a shit, like under 10 points fantasy, but, I mean, at least, we can say that, these guys are freshmen. They're still learning offenses and stuff like that. Maybe, Nico may be a little bit more on a national spotlight. He's a little bit more out there than what Raiola might be. The Nebraska, they're all right, but they're not really, been hyped up, like most of these bigger SCE teams and stuff like that. So I mean, maybe more expectations with Nico out there that with the talents and stuff that they do have, he should be playing better.
This is a very friendly Blacklist, by the way. I think I need to, I need a dead graphic. I need a, instead of the fucking logo there, I need a skull. I need a nice skull at the end, for people that are like dead to me. Like DJU is dead to me. Even you can be redeemed here. And this is we're very forgiving here at Out of Rhythm. You can be redeemed. And Nico could pull himself out of this. We don't know, but it's been the rules of the game. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. Three bad games in a row, and you're gonna get called out. So I mean, he could go out, Jay. He could go out and maybe put up, like he did at the beginning of the year, maybe a 300-yard, 2 or 3 touchdown game, and then I'll shut right up. But right now it's just I can't play him, can't use him, and you agree with me, and I think other fantasy owners do too. Enough of the negativity, though. Is it waiver time?
I think it is waiver time.
Is it waiver time? All right. What do we got here? So we've been trying to mix it up. You know, it's getting to the point of the year, and Jay made a good point a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not really looking at quarterbacks anymore. You know, everybody's got a quarterback. I mean, because obviously, if Bryson Daly is still on the waiver wire, like, we're not looking at quarterbacks. So we picked up on that. So we're not talking quarterbacks. You know, Jay might have a couple, but like, I'm not talking quarterbacks right now. We're gonna try to piece together the rest of your team, especially during some of these buys and you know, injuries. Look at the NFL. I mean, look at the Bucks. Look at my beloved Bucks.
They lost two. Dude, you lost freaking your boy.
Evans in. Godwin's out for the year. Probably done as a Buccaneer. We can't afford him anymore. You probably ship him out. Like Evans is going on IR. Like you know, we just saw Brandon Ayuk. He's done for the year. So you never know. I mean, NFL. Obviously, the NFL game is more physical than the college game, but you know, you need to have reserves. You need to build that bench up, and there's no excuse. You can't skip a week without inventorying the roster. And hey, I could use an upgrade here. Hey, I got to buy here. Hey, you know, so that's why we do this. I'm gonna start off with a tight end because somebody might need a backup. You know, I don't know if you would need to start Bosma, and he's my number one this week. I don't know if you'd have to start him this week. But the guy, Blake Bosma, is coming off a game against Buffalo. He had 6 receptions, 85 yards, 3 touchdowns. For a tight end, that's unheard of. I mean, we just talked about Tyler Warren from Penn State last week, you know, and his monster, over 200 yards receiving, but 17 receptions. But Bosma, I don't know if you have any shares of him or if, you know, kind of seen him on any waivers or sleeper or anything. I don't know if you had an opinion on him, but I thought it'd be worth kicking the tires on. You put up a game like that. I know Buffalo's shit. I know it's a shit team, but you put up a game like that, you get my attention, especially as a tight end, especially in the middle of the year.
Let's see here. Well, if you follow my Twitter page at Autorhythm Fant, I believe I actually had him on one of our waiver pickups here not too long ago, like a week ago or so, I believe. Yep, Blake Bosman. I had him in our week 7 because he actually had a 7 for 54 and a touchdown against and they played Arkansas that week. He kind of had a dud game, but then he ended up coming back and actually having like 100 some odd yard game with a touchdown or whatever it is. So not a bad option. Yeah, I kind of briefly mentioned him about a couple weeks ago. If you're looking for a guy.
Western Michigan, I think there's a couple Western Michigan guys we've mentioned here. So they're showing some love to some smaller programs, and that's the kind of the theme of this here. Number 2, Tulane's defense. Only and the last point about Bosma, he's only 15% rostered, so you can get him in any size league, and so he's going to be out there. Tulane's defense, similar situation. They've been, especially on Fantrax, they've had a bunch of. They had the last 2 game stat lines, you know, defensive points, 32 and 31. So I mean, Tulane's been tearing it up on the defensive side. They've been scoring a shit ton of points. Only 59% rostered. And it's not one of those, you know, I love finding defenses that are good, but don't get talked about a lot. Like Tulane, you're thinking of Mackay, you know, you're thinking of last year, you know, last year's team, you know, you're thinking of, who am I thinking of? Michael Pratt. You know, you're thinking of guys like that. You're not thinking about their defense. But Tulane's defense, only 59% rostered, 48% started. You can pretty much get them in any size league.
Yeah, I mentioned him quite a few times already. I mean, they actually have an easy schedule going on, and you know, I mentioned him. I played him. I actually picked him up in one league, played him against Rice, and they had like 15, 20 some odd fancy points for me. So I mean, they got after Rice, and you know, so I mean, if you're looking for a defense, I think Tulane and you mentioned MSU last week too as well. So I mean, these are teams that are actually putting up fancy points for you in your leagues, depending on your scoring. They're getting after the quarterbacks, they're getting sacks, turnovers. I mean, they're actually probably one or the 2 second teams that are putting up at least they're in the 100 fantasy point range or already. I'll tell you now. Tulane's one of them. MSU. Indiana's still out there. I mean, Indiana's out there. I mean, Missouri's, they're kind of mediocre, I think. You know what I mean? Their offense they're kind of shitty. They really haven't really seen any great fantasy points from them.
They're playing Alabama. Alabama's going to be angry. So I think Alabama's going to take it out on Missouri this weekend. So that might be a bad defensive pickup. Yeah. So you go and on that point, Jay, kind of shorten this up. On that point, go to SMU at 4 there, 66% rostered. I think they're interchangeable. I really do. I think you should go with either or if they're out there. I think you have a good option picking up Tulane or SMU. But we wouldn't go. And Indiana, I think Indiana's got a bye, don't they? Or they play Washington.
Yep, they play Washington. I'm not sure.
That could be Will Rogers and Coleman and the guys up there. I don't know. That might be a bad matchup because I think it's on the road. So Washington can sling it a little bit. So that
MSU is at Duke. Duke pretty much put some points up against.
Well, they beat Florida State. Come on now. And me, Jay, me, and 9 other guys could beat Florida State right now.
Sweet Jesus.
I mean, Tulane plays Northern Texas, so I mean that's probably gonna be a. I don't know. We'll get to that. We'll get to that team.
Yeah. Yep. That's fine. SMU. I mean, yeah, Duke. They just won, and they've actually had a decent year. I think Duke's like 5-1, maybe 6-1. But yeah, that's gonna end. SMU is gonna stomp them, and I think SMU and Tulane, not bad options there for defense. But I wouldn't go with Missouri if that's like the third, fourth defensive option there. Jackson Meeks, number 3, only 29% rostered, 18% started. I love that. I love the quarter. We both love the quarterback, Kyle McCord. So Syracuse offense is cranking. Love the tight. Certain weeks I love Gadsden, the tight end. He shows up. So there's an interesting stat from Jackson Meeks. Touchdown in 4 straight games. Just one touchdown. He hasn't had like a 3-4 touchdown game or anything, but 1 touchdown in the last 4 games. And he's had 29 receptions in the last 3 games. So, and he's had a shit ton of targets. I think he's been targeted almost 40 times. So he's getting looks. McCord slinging it. I think at this point, if you can get a receiver this hot, and you probably start, honestly, of these guys, I mean, maybe SMU's defense or Tulane too, but I would say Meeks might be the most start ready. Like if you pick him up, you might be able to start him this week.
Yeah, he's the last 3 weeks here. He's actually had double-digit targets, which is not bad. I mean, a couple, over 100 some odd yards, and at least a touch. I mean, that's 28, 20, 32. I mean, fantasy points the last 3 weeks. I mean, that's nearly almost 60, 70 points right there. Yeah. I mean, that's enough to actually win you a week. If you need a spot start right away, yeah, and they are actually playing. Who are they playing this week here? The Pitt. Oh, actually, ooh, Syracuse and Pitt. That's going to be a good game to watch.
I could only include 4 in the scroll at the bottom. That would have been the 6 games. Syracuse and Pitt would have been one of the 6. Because Holstein, Desmond Reed, fucking animal. That's going to be a show. That should be an offensive show. Man, I can't wait. And then last but not least, Jay, number 5, Le'Veon Moss. He was on the list last week. I think he was number 2. Well, he's kind of a holdover because he had another good game. He had 65 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns against Mississippi State. Texas A&M's been rolling. I know they play LSU, so it kind of hit and miss in terms of like what a feature back can do against their defense. But Moss is definitely the feature guy now. Texas A&M, and he's been feasting. Feed me. Have you come around on Moss at all? Have you picked him up anywhere or used him for any props?
I think I did one of his props here this weekend, I think, and I seen some of his props, and I unfortunately, the props that I did, I had some of them I hit and some of them missed. I put in like 6 props at one time for one big shot. I had a lot of guys I actually hit, and I kind of fell short on some of my props, but I was kind of pissed because I was like, dude, the games that I kind of went after, that they were totally expected to actually, I figured something would have happened, and some of the props end up busting out of me. I was like so close, but yet so far. But I mean, with Alabama actually, or not, or Texas A&M, you mentioned him last week already. So I mean, he's a guy that's been tearing it up, and No, I think he's out there in some of my waivers and some of my other different leagues. But I haven't trying to think if I actually did or didn't pick him up. I don't remember. Probably not, but good guy in fantasy. We all need.
Yeah, absolutely. 73% rostered, 54% started. So plenty of availability. Jay, what do you got? What do you got this week? What are the big nine you got?
Big nine? Oh,
The
I
nine,
mean,
is it Slipknot? You got all the 9
right? I mean,
close enough.
close enough, huh? Well, I mean, there's teams, I don't know. This one was a little difficult. I wouldn't say a little difficult. I mean, I kind of held off on some of my well, I didn't do my top 4 like I usually do. My sleep pattern's been a little weird this week, but I'm still gonna put that up there just so that it's out there, people can still read it or whatever. But I did get out the fantasy pickups for this week. I got that out there on Twitter, so make sure you follow me at Algorithm Fant on X. And it's usually out there, between Monday, Tuesday morning, because usually, waivers are kind of happening. I think it's Monday night into Tuesday morning that waivers happen. I don't remember. I don't know exactly when I looked. I'm like, waivers happened? 'Cause I thought it was
Yeah,
Tuesday night into Wednesday by.
I think it's like 3:30 in the morning or some shit.
Yeah, I thought it was Tuesday into Wednesday, but now it must be Monday night into Tuesday. So I thought it was the other way around, but because I thought waivers ran when the NFL, for fantasy ran at the same time, so that might be backwards. So I'm like, maybe I'm doing it all wrong.
Could be.
But
Better
yeah,
get on.
right?
Jay,
But
Jay, Chandler Morris. If people would never believe it, number 2 passer in the country.
right? I was looking and I'm like, okay, I was going to put a quarterback on the waivers this week, but I mean, Chandler Morris is another one of those guys that's actually been putting up at least 30 burgers, 40 burgers for, your fancy teams. And it's like, why not talk about a smaller G5 team that is putting up numbers? I mean, I'm sure we all got Sherfield from North Texas, and there's one other I can't remember the other guy, but the other guy down there in North Texas. They usually end up tearing it up down there. Good. It's a good team for fantasy points. We look at, we want to draft players from. So Chandler Morris, North Texas, 43 points per game. He's actually had 400 games already. He's actually had a couple of games in the 300s, like 360, 370. So I mean, he's been getting you touchdowns left and right. I think he's got a rush it.
Jay, 23 passing touchdowns.
That's crazy. He's actually, I was just looking at that. He's actually 3rd in fantasy points behind I'm trying to think here. Ward, he's actually 3rd in fantasy points all in general. He's third. So Cameron Ward, John Menier, and then it goes Chandler, and then our Carson Daly right behind
Carson
him.
Daly. Jay,
yeah.
Three of these guys. I don't mean to interrupt you, but like 3 of these 4 guys you could have had. Mateer kind of went off the waivers after about maybe week 3 or so, but it's like a couple weeks into the year, you could add any of these 3 guys. They would have been your quarterback all year long, and somehow, fucking Morris and Daly are 2 of the top 4 fantasy quarterbacks are still free agents. It's incredible.
It is. It's funny to think. I mean, if you think about it, Blake Horvath, he's still out there in waivers too. I mean, he's been coming.
Probably in the top 10. Yeah, he's probably in the top 10 in fantasy too. Like, what the?
Yeah, he's top 15 right now. I'm looking at it right now.
The wheel. That's what fantasy owners are asleep at the wheel.
I mean, he's highly rostered. There's been people, it all depends on the league size too. 12. A lot of people might not even know any of him, or maybe the people that are not quite into fantasy, they might not know his name, or teams like that. So I mean, he's 93% rostered, 66% started. They played Tulane this week, and it was so we were talking about Tulane's defense. Can Tulane slow down this high-flying offense? Can they actually slow down Chandler Morris? And I mean, he's been putting up quite a few numbers, 400. He's been I think he's their leading rusher right now too as well. So he scrambles a little bit too. I was kind of looking at them a little bit. Um, I don't know. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. It's like I think he'd be a good guy to have on your roster as far as a backup situation if all needed, because they have a week after this week. They have a bye, and then they play Army week 11. So it's kind of like that's gonna be an interesting game right there.
I can't. Yeah, North Texas Army, sign me up. That's gonna be some fucking fireworks there. And I think these are good. These are good tune-up games for Navy and Notre Dame at the end of the year for Army. You beat a for their size. You know what I mean? Like they're a for their budget and their team. I mean, North Texas is a solid team. They went toe to toe with Memphis, and Memphis is another good team. So there's nothing wrong with beating North Texas. So Army, I think they need to start accumulating good wins like that to kind of start getting people's attention a little bit more. People love the story of Army, but need to get a little more attention. But yeah, Morris, it might be a guy that we get into the spotlight. I mean, he would have been a guy that was completely off our radar beginning of the year, like everybody's radar. He's a little undersized, but we might get into him with the spotlight. Maybe he's got undrafted free agent, maybe late round pick. I don't know. Maybe he's played himself into that mix, like just being mobile and having the arm that he does. I mean, he's been a journeyman. He's been bounced around a couple programs in North Texas. He's found a home and he's fucking thriving this year. And I'm glad we've given him some love. I think I had him week 1 or 2. I had him as the number 1 pickup. So I mean, it's been consistent all year long that nobody's touched this guy, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's had a great year.
So second on my list is Kelly Joyner. He's actually a running back / wide receiver for the South Florida Bulls. He's kind of another one of those cheat codes. I think he's more kind of he had a pretty good game just last week. Before he didn't really do anything. You see the Bulls were kind of lagging in some of that department, kind of the rushing game. Because Brian Brown kind of takes up some of that aspect there. But I think a lot of it do with Brian Brown maybe not being there. This guy kind of took off a little bit. Maybe a little bit less running with Brown, and maybe try to pitch. Maybe a little bit less on Brown trying to do all the work. Let's kind of get Kelly kind of more in their production a little bit, because he's a pretty good damn player. But I think he's kind of more of a dart throw. I think a lot of it had to do with Brown kind of being kind of taking that role, not that role, but taking more of the production away from him in those aspects. But with Brown not being there this last week, I think he ended up showing his talents, because he actually had 15 for 94, 2 touchdowns, and he did have a receiving touchdown too as well this last week. So I think that's just due to Brian Brown just kind of being the forefront there, where it's kind of lacking some of the offense in general. And like it kind of shows that the Bulls were kind of a struggling team this year, and wasn't really expecting that, but it is what it is.
I think they just wanted a little more juice, and Joyner's definitely got that. You put up three total touchdowns. Kind of an obscure game. I mean, South Florida's kind of had a down year, so
they've
kind of been obscure this year. But three total touchdowns. You're gonna catch our attention. You're gonna catch fantasy owners' attention. So I don't have any issue with you putting him at number 2 this week.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, they're on bye, but they end up they come back and play Florida Atlantic, and I think that would be a good.
He'll tear them up too.
Yep. Yep. And I just been I think Byron Brown was kind of injured, so I don't think he played the last couple weeks. So maybe with this bye week, we'll have to kind of stage if he's going to play this in week 10 or not. But we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. But he's a guy you can kind of maybe take a look at. You can use for bye weeks, but I don't think he's really a fantasy go-getter. But he's a guy you can take a look at. That's that has some upside to him. Speaking of BYU, we have a couple of BYU guys here on the waivers. The third guy is LJ Martin. They actually play Yeah, because it was funny. I played the other guy here. I played Ropade in a prop, I'm like, I don't know this LJ, Martin guy. I was looking at statistically looking at their RB2 guy. I'm like, he's actually playing pretty damn good. I'm like, so I did one of his props, and it's kind of the thing about
Jay, they got a nice 1-2 punch.
yeah. I was actually that's what I was just gonna say here too, because I mean, Martin's getting about 30% of the rush carries. Ropati is actually getting 22% of the rush carries. So I mean, they're pretty equal. It's almost kind of like a two-headed monster here, which is keeps one guy fresh. First, second down, Ropati kind of come in and kind of be the third down guy if you need a first down or whatever. And you kind of showed a little bit in some of that game too, where he was getting first downs for them in situations where they needed it. But Martin, on the other hand, is their lead guy. I think he'd be kind of a bye-week flyer for some of you guys. He had his first 100-yard rushing this week, 2 touchdowns. 17 points per game isn't bad, but I mean, sophomore. I think there's more. I mean, I think there's a little bit more to him. I mean, he's only been in the league for 2 years so far. I mean, been with BYU for 2 years so far, and I think next year it might be a little bit more of a go-getter. Next year he might be a guy we talk about next year in our fantasy drafts when we're doing drafts. So he might be a guy we might want to take a look at for next year for 2025. But I mean, he's kind of coming around. I like what I saw from both of these guys. I'm not sure what Ropati is. I don't know if he's a freshman or a senior. I'm not sure what he is offhand, but I know for sure last year Martin was a freshman last year. So he's a sophomore this year. The only downfall is that the Ratzlaff, he's been kind of rushing too a little bit. So I mean, he's actually had a little bit more rushing carries, 49 attempts.
Rapati's a senior.
Senior, okay, so he'll probably be gone this year then.
Yep.
So yeah, he'll be gone more likely. So pretty much you could think about LJ Martin actually probably taking the carries.
Yeah, he's only
a
sophomore. Yeah, 2025 is junior year. So yeah, especially in Dynasty, if you can pick this guy up, absolutely.
Yep.
Sign me up.
But yeah, I think he so pretty much BYU had two-headed monster, and I think it's pretty good. This is going to be a pretty good test for them here. They play UCF this week. No Jefferson, so I think it's going to be hopefully they can swing by them, but I think it's going to be pretty damn close game anyways. Okay. 3, 4, or 4, 5, and 6 here. Pretty much all wide receivers. Kevin Coleman, M State. They're at Arkansas this week. He's their wide receiver 1. He's pretty much their only.
Their only receiver. Yeah, you're about to say their only receiver.
Yeah, pretty much. They actually had another transfer in from UTEP, Kelly. He came from UTEP. I thought maybe he'd be a little bit more. He had 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns with UTEP last year. I thought maybe he'd be a guy to kind of come in, and I'm like, ooh, M State potential opportunities for.
Jay, UTEP could have used him. Yes, I think they lost last night. I think they're 1-7. I think they could use him back.
It's funny to think about. I was actually watching a little bit UTEP here, I think the other day. So I was like, oh my God, I'm watching a UTEP game. I'm like, how disgusting is that?
Sweet Jesus.
But yeah, he's pretty much the number 1 offense right now, 19% of target share. So I mean, he's getting pretty much quite a bit of all of it. He's actually gotten double-digit targets here the last couple weeks, so they're chasing him. He's in that. I was gonna say, I think that's maybe 6 targets per game, give or take, or somewhere in there, 5 or 6 targets per game. I would assume that with averaging that out. So I mean, they're looking at him a little bit more than some of the other guys there. 58% rostered, 43% started. He's kind of like a boomer bust kind of guy. I would think right now. Only 100-yard game. We'd think M State can be a bit more of a heavy pass team, but not so much. They had Texas A&M and M State. I think they ended up being like 38, 39 scorers. So they had some good scoring opportunities there last weekend. But they do play UMass, Tennessee, and Mizzou. So this is some good potential for Coleman to maybe start out, maybe get a touchdown in there, and I think that's some good opportunity for him. So he is a guy you could look at if you really need a guy. Caleb Douglas, Texas Tech. They played TCU this week. 30 receptions, 419 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season. I mean, not really stellar. You know, when you think about it, it's like, okay, I mean, that's kind of a mediocre team, 500 some odd, under 400 some odd yards. It's kind of like, okay.
Morton's a decent quarterback. Taj Brooks, like I was mentioning earlier, love the running back. I mean, Texas Tech, I think 5-2. So I mean, that's a winnable game against TCU. So I know he's kind of a one game wonder, Caleb, but if you're desperate enough, it's worth kicking the tires on. Anytime you catch our attention, like we said earlier, you catch our attention when you have a 3 touchdown, 9 reception, probably 12 target game. Like you catch our attention.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, seeing those targets is an added bonus because you think about, okay, well, they're looking at this guy a little bit more often. He's going to be their playmaker. He's going to be their offensive guy. Maybe deep threat or intermediate deep threat kind of guy. So I mean, it's things like that we want to take a look at. Now I'm trying to think here. So he's getting 10% of the targets. He's kind of like their wide receiver too. But I mean, it's still something, in this, Texas Tech, I've kind of seen them here and there. Not bad at all, honestly, if you think about it. Josh Kelly is their wide receiver 1 there, 18% of targets. So I mean, it's not the greatest, but I mean, it's somebody to kind of take a look at if all needed to. I mean, with, last weekend here, 9 for 90, almost 100 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, 5% rostered, only 5% started. So I mean, it's a lot of availability yet out there, and it's finding the games that we need guys to pop to actually kind of get us into their playoff hopes. But I was just going to say that Taj Brooks is kind of their main guy they've been using for pretty much their offense because he's at 900 some odd rushing yards, almost 1,000 yards on the season already. So I mean, I think they're either on bye or oh no, never mind. That's at TCU. So week 10, they're actually playing Iowa State. So that's going to be an interesting game right there.
Yeah, 6. Would it be like 8-0, 7-0, 8-0 Iowa State, and hopefully 6-2 Texas Tech? That might be one of our 4 games of the week here. Might have to give it some love.
Yeah, it might be. All right. Darius Lester.
It's
BYU.
Lassiter.
Yeah, Lassiter. Yep. I was actually that was a good game. I'm like, dude, he actually scored their winning touchdown there at the end. I was like, what? So I kind of opened my eyes here a little bit, kind of like, ooh, okay. So so right at the end, I'm like, all right, BYU is going to lose, and I think it was a 4th down situation or 3rd. It was getting right down to the end, and he pretty much broke coverage, ran it in for a touchdown. My mind just went boof. He's so pretty much they're at UCF this week. He's actually getting about 6.5 targets per game. So that's up there. I mean, he's getting some double-digit targets just over on general average wise. I mean, so they're looking at him quite a bit with that 2-headed monster. Lassiter is pretty much their deep threat target. Chase is another guy. He's kind of their wide receiver 2 there. It has more receptions, but less yards. Lassiter is he's a senior this year, a little bit taller guy. He's one of those guys if they need 50-50, he's one of those guys that can go up for it. He's got 450 yards on the season to Chase's 420 yards. I think Lassiter has a few more touchdowns than Chase does, but Chase still is a younger prospect. I think Darius is a guy you might be talking about for spotlights because he's a senior this year. But he's only had 200-yard games so far, 13% rostered, 9% started, seeing about 16 point fantasy game, 16 points per fantasy game. But to think, it's funny to think about. Both these guys are in the top 100 in fantasy points right now, so they're not like, gold You know, they're a team we kind of mentioned. They're kind of a team that's just kind of getting by right now. We kind of mentioned them kind of like they're kind of like a Los Angeles Rams. They're good, but not like great.
I was looking up his draft scout, but yeah, he runs
Oh,
a he runs a 4.59, so not a blazer or anything. But Lassiter, yeah, somebody might have to dig it into, and he keeps putting up games like this. 129 yards in a tutty. BYU, just saying. Worth kicking the old tires on. What do you got
Yeah.
for Terrence Carter?
I mean, I think there was a he's kind of been coming around a little bit. They're on bye this week, but for if you need a tight end, he might be a guy you might want to take a look at. I think he actually had like 120 some odd yards this last weekend, a touchdown in there, 149 yards and a TD. So it's the thing about Raging Cage. It's funny because there was a week, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I was actually
Raising Cane sounds good. We get some fucking chicken fingers.
Yeah, I think it was that's why I was watching because it was I think Tulane was playing him, and I think Tulane ended up getting beat by these guys. So I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I got to turn this game off. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was Tulane playing these guys, and I believe I'll have to go back and look at the score, but I think the Cajuns did beat them. I'm not sure exactly. But if you're looking for a tight end, he would be a guy you want to take a look at. I think he's very under rostered. I just like, all right, these guys, these are guys we just kind of want to take a look at and just see kind of a hit or miss kind of guys. Kicker, Damian Ramos from LSU, 66 fantasy points on the season. They play Texas A&M, and I believe, if you're looking for a guy, some of these bigger teams, they can't get their shit together or drive down the field, he'd be a guy that comes in and gives them some fancy some points on the scoreboard there. I think he's had like 3 for 3, 3 for 4. So I mean, his foot is very well on target. So he's a guy you might want to take a look at. And last but finally, Washington State. They play the Aztecs this weekend. I think it's 89 points on the season, but I think it's not a bad option because smaller G5 team. I think Washington State should kill these guys to get some sacks and stuff like that, some takeaways. So I believe it'll be a good option if you're looking for a defense.
Yeah, Washington State. I maybe have them 5th or 6th in line, but it just depends. I mean, all these leagues are different. If you can't get your grubby hands on an SMU, if you can't get your grubby hands on an Indiana, Tulane team like that, Washington State, yeah, definitely worth looking at.
For sure.
Looking at these, I'm seeing X-ray in these glasses, boy. I got my Jeffrey Dahmer look. I'm gonna eat your soul. You know what? We did a little waivers. We did a little waivers. Now it's time to make a little bit of the bread, a little bit of the cheddar. I need my sound effect. Cue me in. Monday! Gonna make a little bit of money. So the second week in a row we've been using Sleeper. So hopefully you weren't put to sleep last week. Hopefully you made a little bit of money off of us. Thank us later. Yep, there we go. We're gonna start off and explain the rules here because this is the second week and if this is the first time you're coming across us or if you share this with somebody. So I have like the little sleeper, little bug guy. So below him is more. So if it's like less 2 point something, more 1 point something, that's basically the amount of money you can make. So like if your bet was, I'll just use Jackson Arnold number 3 as an example. So if Jackson Arnold, I have him going over half a touchdown. So if Jackson Arnold hits on that, if he does have a rushing touchdown for Oklahoma, you would get almost 3.5 times your money. So I mean that's a nice payday. It depends on what you put in, but You put in $5, that's like $17.50. So nice payday there. But so sleeper pretty much gives you what you can expect to win. And Jay was talking it up for a while, so I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna switch over. I'm a converter. I switched over from DraftKings to sleeper, and so now that's how we roll. So I'll start off number 1. He was blacklisted. Yes, for fantasy purposes. I never said anything about props. So Jalen Daniels he got off my shit list, kinda. Half a rushing touchdown? Yeah, dude, Jalen Daniels has had a rushing touchdown the last 2 games. He's had 1 and 1. So, why not go for a third in a row? I know they're playing K-State, a little stiffer competition there, but still, they look good against Houston. I mean, put up 42 points. He had 3 passing touchdowns. That's probably the best game he's had in a year, since middle of last year or something. I mean, he's played like dog shit. Basically you can win almost 3 times your money, 2.8 times your money with Daniels at number 1. Do you want me to go through all 5, Jay, or do you have any? Okay, I'll crank them out, and if you have any thoughts. Number 2, our one of our favorite guys, Desmond Reed, 81. Yeah, like LA Knight says, Desmond Reed. 81.5 rushing yards. I'm taking the over because why the hell not? They're playing Syracuse. Points will be blood will be shed. Points will be scored. and you're not going to make as much on this, but it's a safer bet. It tends to be in that 1.7, 1.78, 77, 1.65. In that range is usually a safer bet because usually it's pretty much even with the if you're taking the over or the under, they're pretty much so it's safer bet, but you got to hit on some of these too. You can't always just go for 3 times your money or 2.5 times your money. So this is a safe bet. Desmond Reed, I think almost every game, just about, he's been over 81.5 rushing yards. So he's going to hit on that. So that's an easy payday right there. I put that number 2. Number 3, Jackson Arnold, half a rushing touchdown. I know he just won his job back. I mean, he was he was kind of cast off. Like he was sent away. He was a bad boy. He was a bad boy for a few weeks, but Jackson Arnold got his job back, and Oklahoma's a complete shit show, but he does have 2 rushing touchdowns this year, 8 passing touchdowns too. So he's decent stats. He just hasn't won any games or anything, but so I'm going to take the over on that because we can win almost 3.5 times our money. I mean, that could be a big payday there. That's one Jay. That's the one Jay should be like, yeah, man, I'm looking at that too. Number 4, LJ. We mentioned LJ when we were talking about the waiver pickups. So I mean, LJ's been hitting a lot lately from BYU. It's another safe bet, 1.77 times your money. So that's another one of the safe ones. I would take him and Rapati. I mean, Rapati could end up getting more carries, but I think the way LJ's been playing lately and BYU, they need to continue this role to stay undefeated. I think he could have a close to 100-yard day. I think maybe 95 yards, 100 yards. So he's going to get well over 66.5. And then the last one, I'm taking the under. Tyler Shook from Louisville. I don't think he's going to have a pick. Hear me out. He's only had 3 interceptions this year. Louisville's not very good, but he is. He's got 18 touchdowns, I think 3 picks. So he hasn't thrown very many interceptions. Didn't have any picks against Miami. So I'm hoping he can keep that 2 games in a row, and you can win over 2 times your money. So I think that'd be a nice bet. I don't think he's going to have any picks. And what do you got other than the Price is Right, the negative, the 2 thumbs down button? What do you got for these props here?
Well, I'll give you one good reason why he'll get an interception here, because Lacey is out for the season with the collarbone injury, so he's done for the season. So that's going to probably hurt the Cardinals.
Just throw it to the backs. Just throw it to the running backs. Dink and dunk like Russell Wilson.
But yeah, Martin actually kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Yeah, I mean, 120 some odd rushing. So I mean, I think with them playing UCF, there's a good opportunity for Martin to actually rush over 66 yards there. Reed, yeah, 1.5 rushing yards or rushing touch. Or right. Oh, 81. Okay. I don't know for that. That one's kind of iffy. I would probably go with maybe rushing, maybe, honestly. That would be
He was
me, I
at
guess.
I think he was at I want to say it was like a rushing touchdown at any point in the game. I think it was like a touchdown at any time, but it was like a really low, like I think it was like really low on him because of how good he's been playing. I
Yeah.
have to look again on my phone, but I think it was like 1.65 or something. So I mean, it's just you'd have to almost bet against Desmond Reed. Like you pretty much have to take the less on like anytime touchdown, rushing yards. You know, if
Yeah.
there's anything for
I guess it
reception.
all depends. I guess it all depends on who they're playing this week. Oh wait, Syracuse. That's right.
Syracuse,
God, that's he could probably end up a receiving touchdown against these guys probably out of the
I
backfield.
think he could too. I think Holstein's gonna have a good game. I think Eli Holstein's gonna have a really good game too.
I mean, because I think there's a good there could be a good chance for that too, that he can get a receiving touchdown out of the backfield where he's done that quite a few times already. Daniels, honestly, I don't even know about this guy. I mean, Kansas is playing like total garbage. I actually haven't even tuned into him just because they've been playing so bad.
You gotta trust Jay. Jay, you gotta trust me on this. You win almost 3 times your money. He's had a rushing touchdown. I'm coughing up that bullshit. Sorry. He's had a rushing touchdown each of the last 2 games. Why not have a third in a row? Why not have a third in a row? We know Avery Johnson from K-State. He'll probably have a couple rushing touchdowns himself. So Jalen Daniels got to keep up a little bit. I think both these quarterbacks is worth taking a shot on. Arnold and Daniels. I mean, for the amount of money you can make.
I guess this is what you're just telling me to do, right?
Just do it.
Just do it. The other stuff, yeah. I think we found 3 things that Jay's okay with. The two quarterbacks, just scoring a touchdown, and then LJ probably going over 66.5. I don't think he likes the Reed prop there. I think he'd rather take a different category. And then the Tyler Shook from Louisville. I think he thinks that he's going to get picked a few more times now that he's missing it. Probably his number 1 receiver. So
yeah. Unfortunately, just news came across a notification. I'm like, what? Oh, snap! All right, well, there goes the number 1 guy. I think so. There's a chance that he'll be returning in 2025. So it's might not be hitting to the NFL draft. So he'll be returning back to college. So, which is a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully some of these hit. Hopefully you take a little bit of our advice and hopefully make yourself a little moolah. And go give Sleeper some love. Sleeper's great. That's where we do all our fantasy at. They got a little bit of everything over there on Sleeper.
Yeah, they do.
As does Squad Blitz here. Ooh. I'm up to 4-4, baby. I'm up to 4-4. I'm coming. We coming. I'm coming. I might be coming more ways than one later, but I'm coming.
Sweet Jesus.
I'm up to 4-4. Jay's at 4-4. He's a spot ahead of me in the standings, but we're both at 4-4. Won 3 in a row. I'm planning on making it 4 in a row. I'm getting over 500, hopefully. With the passing categories here, I'm gonna rock Colorado. I went with them last week. Shador had a good game. Obviously Louisville. Tyler Shook having a damn good season. Why not? Why the hell not? And no need for a transfer this week. This is one of the rare weeks I'm not doing any kind of transfer. So I have a Pitt's on the bench this week. And Clemson's on a bye. So I've been rolling with Clemson a lot lately. Clemson's on a bye and Pitt. So that would be my complete 8 for the full spectrum of things. Rushing, going with the same 2 teams from last week, Notre Dame and Indiana. Why the hell not? Indiana's got almost 300 points, rushing points, which is ridiculous. That they're one of the tops in the country. You wonder why they're ranked number 13 and undefeated, 7-0. A lot of it's that running game. Notre Dame, same thing. Riley Leonard. Love the running back. They're formidable as well. And then the defense, rolling with the same two teams as last week. So pretty simple here. BYU and SMU. SMU is having an underrated year on defense, ranked number 22. Ranking defense is probably better than that. Their defense has been elite. What are your thoughts here on this team? Can I get the 5-4?
I know. Can you now with Louisville losing their main star? I don't know.
Don't be a hate. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't squash my
your hopes and dreams.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna sick those two clowns from Govier's network over here.
Sweet Jesus.
Honestly, I mean, I like BYU. I mean, you could probably either swap them around, you know, in the rushing, if you need to kind of turn it up a little bit, or the passing a little bit. I mean, Chase and Darius, they're you know, there might be like a top 100 top 100 offense or in fantasy points on the season. There's a good chance for one of them to get a touchdown either way in there, or you can use them as a rushing team possibly if needed to. But you know, BYU could be probably played around a little bit. MSU, yeah, good defense there. I'd stick with them. I mean, you got Colorado now. I mean, Colorado's been throwing pretty much just a passing offense. There's no rushing to them.
Yeah, there's no rushing. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, so it's kind of like why not use them for, you know, pretty much for passing. To me, I guess it doesn't really look too shabby at all. I think the only thing would probably be Louisville. Depends on who they're playing this upcoming week. Is their offense gonna...
You think Pitt's a better option at passing?
Ooh.
Pitt would be the only other option I have, or you know, a transfer. I don't know. Louisville's too good to transfer, I think. So, but I think Pitt would be the only team in house that I could probably swap out with Louisville. But
yeah, Clemson's on bye. Colorado, Cincinnati, that should be a good game. Indiana, Washington. Ooh, that might be a good game to actually. Does Indiana actually skull Washington? But I don't think they're going to be putting up the points like they did against Nebraska. I think that's going to be a little bit more low. That's going to be more of a low scoring game. Notre Dame at Navy. That's gonna. Damn, that kind of puts things in perspective, because you know Navy is pretty much a rushing team. They maybe throw it a little bit here and there.
Notre Dame is too. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if you like you know, old school rushing and defense, and you'll want to tune into this Notre Dame Navy game. This is you know, it's probably what, you know, when they used to play in the 1940s. That's probably what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
running the fucking wishbone.
Well, I guess I would say is if you need, maybe if you have to, maybe Pittsburgh, swap that around with Louisville just in case. You know, it'd be more of a game time decision. You're like, all right, screw it, I'll just throw Pitt in there. But overall, overall, not a bad offense as overall. I won't pop mine up here yet. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, you're pretty much up against Ole Miss, Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma. He's got Iowa State on bye, Virginia Tech. He's got Texas Tech and Maryland on his bench.
How this motherfucker gets so loaded?
I think it due to the draft. I would believe so. I mean,
well, you know me. I usually skip these drafts, or I'm busy or something. And I make it up. I make it up as I go.
Pretty much. That's how you kind of go with these here.
We're fixing this, Jay. I'm gonna be competitive with this guy. Although he is stacked. He's got categories up the ass. But
I don't know. I mean, Kansas State and Kansas, that could be a low scoring game. That could be a struggle. Unless he moves Iowa out. I mean, he's got Virginia Tech and Georgia. I don't think Virginia Tech's gonna be stopping Georgia. You know, they'll probably put up some points on them. I mean, Minnesota's back at Maryland. Minnesota's, you know, if he uses, you know, Maryland's they were kind of hot, but now they're not. much anymore. So I mean, they're kind of a struggling offense in general. And right now, I've been watching some of their games. I was hoping they would get more, Felton up and used, but they really haven't been using him all too much either. So a good I think Colorado might be your only opportunity against Ole Miss or Texas. But I would maybe consider Pitt up in there, maybe possibly if all needed to.
Yeah, no, I
Evenly
definitely.
stacked though, for sure. Evenly stacked.
I'm gonna give him hell, as they say. And then did you have to fix your team a little bit on or did you want to?
I can just pop it up here quick. I mean, it's this pretty much from last week, anyways. I think I believe I still got Illinois on my, even though they kind of gave me a stinker. They didn't really do so hot. But
We got Oregon this week.
yeah, that one's probably gonna hurt. But I do got Minnesota back, so I'll probably move them into my defense against Maryland. They're probably more likely going to be Minnesota's probably going to hold Maryland down for sure. Michigan State. I don't know. I might play them in. They're pretty good. They're more of your defense. I might be. I'll probably stick them in the defense. Utah at Houston, even though it sucked because
Utah, yeah, just stop. Utah needs, the whole team needs to be blacklisted.
There we go. We might have to blacklist them. I guess if I have to. I mean, that TCU against Utah was not the greatest. It was like freaking like 16-7. It was just a very trashy game. There was no. I mean, the offenses looked like they were just horrible. They couldn't really get anything going. I'm like,
the offenses were out of rhythm.
Yeah. Sweet Jesus.
There we go. I know. I might have to look in the. I'm gonna play San Jose State for sure because they're a high flying offense that could put up, kind of stay with Oregon there. So I'm gonna keep them up there for sure. Illinois against Oregon, that's gonna probably hurt me. I might have to look at the wire there for sure. Utah might be able to rebound against Houston. Houston hasn't been really doing so great, so I might keep him in the rushing because they got Bernard in them, at least the rushing is doable. Arkansas and Mississippi State, that might be a fairly good game there. I might keep them in the rushing aspect. Probably do a little swapping around. Maybe get USC up out of there. I'm not sure what to do with TCU in general, so I think I'm gonna more than likely do some swapping around and see what's all available out there. Should probably drop USC, maybe more than likely. I'll take a quick gander here, see what's in see who I can transfer here real quick. See if there's anything out there that's maybe possible that I can add. Air Force is on bye.
What do we got in the portal? What do we got in the portal?
Let's see here. For high fly, we've got South Alabama playing ULM. That might not be a bad option. I do like that one.
Gio Lopez.
For passing anyways. I don't really see anything else that's really kind of like standing out there right now. That's like, ooh, I gotta have these guys.
I know who you don't have to have, and that's that damn Utah. They're useless.
Well, I mean, I guess South Alabama is. I mean, they're a little bit more on the rushing side of aspects, but I mean, maybe South Alabama could be a team I could probably look at picking up, and yeah, that's about it. I don't like UCF. They're just more of a rushing team. They have, it's kind of slim pickings, I tell you. There hasn't been really a team out there that's really stacking their offense, their passing offense right now. So I might be taking another L on this one there, buddy.
We both got to make the playoffs so I can whoop your ass for the championship.
But yes. So just to iterate here on what Squad Blitz is.
Yes,
it's a new platform. Pretty much, you got 8 teams in general. You play 6 of the 8 teams. Each 2 teams in each category there. It's pretty much new for this this upcoming year. Pretty much a mom and pop app right now. They don't have a website right now, but it's all app orientated right now. Good, a lot of great fellows over there. I mean, they're on X, it's Squad Blitz over there on the X platform. So they're right now they've just been collecting data, on teams and seeing who's been ad dropped and whatnot. But just over on general, the apps, it's a good way for them to kind of tweak their app for the future. But it's something that's hopefully it'll be a good place that everybody will want to be if you don't want to play like just a whole fantasy team in general, QB, quarterbacks, running backs, all that, etc. This would be just a dubbed down, easier way to play some college fantasy football. But yeah, go over there, check them out over in Squad Blitz on X. They do have a YouTube page. They don't really have a lot out there right now since they're kind of new coming. They were over in I think Ohio for one of these big conferences that happens between all fantasy people and whatnot, so
why weren't we there?
Right?
That's invited. God damn it.
That's where we need to go next year. We got to hit up that.
We need to get the fuck out of here for a little bit. We need to go out and go to one of these conventions.
Yeah, then we can meet guys like Pete and these guys from Squad Blitz because everybody was there talking about their apps and stuff like that and whatnot. So go over there and give Squad Blitz some love. Give them a follow over on X. Great people. Sooner or later, we will actually get these guys up on our live stream here. You guys can ask questions and they can give you a little more detailed on why and how this actually came to be. But we are just content creators to just kind of help promote kind of help get their stuff out there to get more recognizable. So we are the first guys to put this out there actually more on the live stream. So
I'll be honest, I have enjoyed this as like trying something new this year. Squad Blitz and then like Best Ball was the other thing that I tried new this year. I've loved this a hell of a lot more than Best Ball. Best Ball is just kind of you think it's nice because like, oh, low maintenance, I don't have to do a lot of my well, it's like you can't if you fuck up the draft, you miss the draft, you have injuries, it's like it's just you can't really adjust things. And so of the new things this year, Squad Blitz, I swear by this stuff, man. It's been a lot of fun. I'm starting to get on a roll here with this team. So sky's the limit. So we're but yes, good guys like Jay was saying, great logo. I mean, like I said, I'm ready to get that shit tatted somewhere. I got some fucking real estate somewhere on the bod. We can get that put down. But Squad, they're fucking awesome. And then you know what? Last segment, Jay. Out of rhythm, week 9 players to watch. And a lot of them are in the bigger matchups. So I mean, we've mentioned a couple of these guys. Blake Horvath, obviously, he's come up. He was a waiver guy for a few weeks, and Navy's had them and Army have been kind of the story of the year. Indiana a little bit too, but this is a litmus test game. I mean, this is you want people to take you seriously. You want to be the G5 team to represent. In the playoffs, you got to win this game. They're at home. I know Navy, or Notre Dame's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be hard, but Horvath has been. Jay was saying he's in the top 15 in quarterback fantasy points. So I mean, he's had a monster year. Not quite Bryson Daly, but I mean, he's been right up there. So I got him as one of my. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say, Army and Navy pretty much are Army and Navy pretty much similar offenses.
Yeah, they're sister. Yeah, they're like sister pro. Obviously, both service schools, but yes. They could almost be brothers. They were probably separated at birth. Horvath and Bryce. So I mean, yes, that's one of the big matchups. I thought I'd put that in there. Maddox Madsen, the quarterback from Boise. I know a lot of love, goes to Ashton Genty as it should. The guy's an absolute animal, but this kid's actually had a pretty decent year. 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. Nothing special yardage wise. I think he's like a little under 1,300 roughly. So he's not put up a ton of yards, but he's been very efficient. And what is he averaging? About 200 a game, a little over 200 yards a game. That's not bad. That's enough. They're going to need some more. Hodge Malik Williams from UNLV. Obviously, I got Ricky White at the end there. So, I mean, UNLV, they're more than formidable. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough game for Boise State. So, I look for Maddox Madsen to step up. And if you've got fantasy shares of him, I'd start him. Unless you've got Cam Ward or you've got an absolute beast at fantasy. I'd throw Madsen in there. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this UNLV Boise State game. Friday night, can't wait. I've had it on the scroll the entire day on the bottom, entire episode. So that'd be a Friday night. Get yourself, whatever. Get yourself comfy, a pizza, beer, whatever, and tune this in. Desmond Reed. We've had Desmond Reed probably a couple times at this point, but why the hell not? Guy's an absolute animal. They're playing Syracuse. Pitt's undefeated. They need this win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So, you can't ask for anything better. I mean, Syracuse is damn good too. So this would be a damn good match. I think it's a very underrated matchup that the big networks aren't talking about, and I can't wait for it. So Desmond Reed, I think is going to pop as well. I think he's going to have a monster game. So if you got fantasy owners, be prepared for a good night. Louisiana Monroe, the Warhawks. They're ready for a fucking beatdown playing South Alabama. Jay was mentioning him earlier because he was looking at South Alabama for the squad blitz team, possibly for passing. But Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy. He's been playing good, man. He's got last 3 games he's averaging about 100 yards rushing. He's got 4 touchdowns. Just very, very solid. Not really much of a pass catcher, but at least with the rushing, like I wouldn't be surprised if he had another 100-yard game against South Alabama. South Alabama's been leaking. I mean, they've been getting worked the last few outings. So, you know what? I'm okay with that. It's the first time we've mentioned the Warhawks here, Louisiana Monroe. So give a little love to ULM. Washington State, Kyle Williams. He's had 300, 3+ 100-yard games this year. Last 2 games have kind of been duds. So he's due. He's due for another 100-yard game. Playing San Diego State. Jay was mentioning him earlier. I think he was talking about San Diego State's defense. That's not very good. So I think if Mateer and Washington State was going to get back on track, it'd be here. And I think Williams is going to have a 100+ yard game. And they've only got 1 loss. So, I mean, they're not mathematically, they're not out of it. I mean, we know they're probably not going to get a playoff spot, but at least, they're still alive somewhat. So need the dub there. And then UNLV, Ricky White III. This guy's ridiculous. This guy's ridiculous. So the last 4 games got 6 touchdowns, 3 games over 125 yards receiving. He's been targeted a shit ton of times, and these are against decent, Oregon State, Syracuse. Last year he had almost 15. I didn't even know this. He was so under the radar at this because UNLV didn't have the type of record like they have this year, or the type of some of the primetime games primetime Friday night games they've been in. But he had almost 1,500 yards receiving last year, 8 touchdowns. So I mean, Ricky White's he's a one of the best receivers that nobody talks about. And so I think they're going to need him to step up against Boise, and he's a guy I'm going to watch. I could easily see another 100-yard game. So I think points will be scoring, blood will be shed, points will be scoring, scoring, whatever. I can't talk anymore. I'm done. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, I'll probably try to watch. I'll probably end up watching that Pittsburgh and Syracuse game. Boise State's going to probably, it might be a good matchup between them and the running back there. It might be a good game to kind of watch that one there. But that's all I got to say on this. The last but final, we'll wrap up the show here. This will just be a quick couple minutes here, and we'll get up out of here.
Ooh.
Yep. So our notable games for week 9 to watch. Number 20, Illinois against the number 1 Oregon Ducks. We got
Can Luke Altmaier get off the deck? He's about to get blacklisted himself. You want me to talk about an upperclassman? He's about to get he doesn't show up in this game. It's going to be another 35-0 defeat. You don't fuck around with Oregon. They'll smack you around. So Illinois needs to show up. Pat Bryant, the whole crew. I mean, they need to. Illinois needs to be formidable here. And you know what? They've only got one loss, Jay. So Illinois, I mean, it's a long shot, but it's like they're not technically dead for the playoffs. So especially if they can pull this upset, they'd probably jump. 5 spots in the rankings. They'd probably jump up to 15 or so. So it would really help their positioning if they could pull the upset here.
Yeah, that's if they can. I know they got some good guys. Oh, and Liberty has lost the game.
Oh yeah. Of course they did. Fucking fool's gold. Caden Salter. Yeah, I'm gonna take a deeper look at him. He might be blacklisted next week. I got a whole list. I maybe jumped the gun with Nico a little bit this week, but next week I got plenty of ammunition. I'm looking at guys because Caden Salter has shit the bed. I'm sorry. Compared to where he was last year, everybody talked him up. He has not played well this year at all. So they deserve that shit.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna have to go with Oregon with this one, but it's gonna be a pretty good game there. Baylor, MSU. This one I thought was gonna be could be an upset game just because Baylor is an unknown team where they can come in and actually you think Baylor's beatable, but yet they'll actually turn around and they'll actually score some points on you. Their defense is actually their defense is all right. I mean, I've watched a game or so of them where I think it was Nebraska and Baylor, and they've kind of held Nebraska down for a little bit there. But BYU's got some some weapons. They got a two-headed monster there. They got 2 wide receivers that are pretty stout. Their defense is all right. So I'm hoping they can actually get by Baylor. This could be an upset if all comes down to it.
You know what? BYU should be on upset alert for sure. I think this could be closer than people think.
Yeah.
Probably maybe a 7-point game, 10-point game, but I think BYU pulls it out. But Baylor is going to be game. Like I really think it's going to be a good one. Probably 34, 24, 34, 27, something like that.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's going to be they'll be up an upset alert. I don't know if BYU is at home. I think they're at home. I think they were at home against
it's going to be tough for Baylor to travel in there and try to beat them.
I think BYU might be at Baylor. So I mean, could be the total opposite because I know they were at home against the Cowboys here this last weekend. Oklahoma, Ole Miss. Hopefully, Ole Miss can get their stuff together and beat Oklahoma. That's going to be a very interesting game there. Then we got Texas, Vanderbilt, who beat Bama here not too long ago. They should, they were a lot of people thought should have been on the top 25 already. I just don't know if Vanderbilt is going to be able to stick that. If Vanderbilt,
we need a correction here. Shit, we need a correction here. So it's actually BYU at UCF.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
BYU. Yeah, they beat Baylor. Yeah, they actually beat Baylor about a month ago.
Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing there.
Oh, it's fine. No, it's fine. But for any of the trolls out there, and any people that want to come enough people have come after Jamie online about stuff. So fuck them. But it's BYU at UCF. So
I know what.
You stop RJ Harvey and you pretty much beat him. So that's up right there. BYU gonna win.
I don't know why I put Baylor for. Maybe I was thinking UCF. I I don't even know what I was thinking.
Any more mediocre Big 12 teams you want to pop in there?
Maybe I just wanted BYU to win.
Yeah,
Maybe
right.
you know.
Kansas.
Right. Yeah. I guess I didn't even then going to waivers. I was
Oh
mentioning
hell no,
UCF.
it's okay.
It's been one of those weeks, guys. But
Right, yeah,
yeah.
you and me both. Yeah. Case
But
in
yeah,
point.
Vanderbilt and Texas. We were all mentioning Vanderbilt. We thought a lot of people should have been ranked, but they weren't. Now they're ranked, and now they played number 5 Texas, and I think Texas. I think they'll probably get their shit together after this loss here that happened. So I think Vanderbilt will probably not be a top 25 team after this week.
No, the lightning strike one time with that Alabama win. They ain't gonna strike twice. They're not beating Alabama and Texas in the same year. Will not happen. Will not happen. Texas is gonna smoke them. Sounds like a good brisket. I'm hungry for some Texas brisket. They're gonna smoke Vanderbilt. Upset alert. Ole Miss is their offense is elite, but I don't know what's been going on lately. Oklahoma's been dead in the water. Maybe some magic from Jackson Arnold. I don't know. I can't. I'm going to take all the favorites here, but I'm taking Ole Miss. But this is another game like Baylor where I think Oklahoma's going to keep it close. I think Oklahoma's going to be game. They were embarrassed by Texas, a few weeks ago, and I think Oklahoma's going to be game. And Jackson Arnold wants to prove that he's a credible starter. So there's a lot to prove. Everybody's talking smack about Brent Venables, the coach. And so I think Oklahoma's gonna show up and show out, but they're gonna lose.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long night, and we're gonna get wrapped up here. BYU is actually playing UCF, so that's my fault in that. But I think it's just one of those things I was trying to right change it out right on mid screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we that's our show there, everybody. I think we're gonna get everything kind of wrapped up here. We appreciate everybody that joined us, jumped in the live chat there. We had a few people in the live chat here this evening, but besides the ranting earlier in the show, I mean
we had to. It's been it's been a rough fucking. He's got to go to work here, and I got to be up at fucking 4. So I mean, I obviously I'm not in the same place I've been. So I mean, I had a weird fucked up Airbnb situation. Jamie's So we've had a rough week. So cut us a little slack. First 10. If you want to skip the first 10 minutes of this episode, go right ahead. Just get into the good stuff. We talk maybe a little bit of NFL at the beginning, and then we get into college. Some of the review from week 8, and then we get into the usual stuff like waivers.
Yeah, it's bad players. Everybody, fantasy football is a game. Don't just take it to extremes. I mean, it's just it's a good everybody loves fantasy football, but let's just don't take it to the extremes where you're knocking people down and whatnot. It's people get too invested in players that they shouldn't be, and so we all like players that we're gonna like, but it's a fantasy football game for a reason. And if people are not putting up production, people are gonna voice their opinions about it. Everybody's gonna have their opinions. Just people are not gonna other people's opinions.
They sign up. Yeah, they sign up to be in the public space. These players know what they signed up for. They don't have to work regular jobs. They don't have to. Jamie's got to go work tonight at not our time, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Got to work overnight, and I get up to crack of dawn, drive truck. Like, they don't have. They make 7, 8 figures. It's like, dude, so if we if other keyboard warriors and other fanboys want to defend these guys, that's fine, but we're gonna call them out. I mean, I feel bad for Brandon Ayuk's injury, and any of these guys, Chris Godwin, any of these guys that get hurt, but they're also millionaire athletes. They're well taken care of with guaranteed money. The best surgeons, the best aftercare. So yeah, we're permitted. They're in the public space. We're permitted to have an opinion on that. That's the First Amendment, baby. Freedom of
it is
freedom of.
It sure is. But you know, we don't hide. We're pretty much an open forum here. I mean, we'll voice our opinions when it
Right.
needs to be necessary.
Use my real name. That's my handle. That's my the X. I use my real fucking name. He uses, we don't hide any fucking. We're not keyboard warriors here. We're not, fucking anything. You get what you see. Like,
Yeah, you get blunt, honest truth. That's what you
Yep.
get from us here. We don't beat around the bush here, but no, we give you our perspective when it comes to fantasy football. Football, or I mean NFL or college in general. I mean, right now we've just been sticking to college. It's a little bit more broad and fun. NFL is it's just too many people in the space when it comes to the NFL side of things, and college is it's starting to get more light, which is why we're covering college football a little bit more.
And Jay, we work in NFL references too. Shit, we work in wrestling. We work in a little bit of baseball sometimes. Go Yanks! So we work in a little bit of everything. This is officially a college football fantasy show. But yeah, if you miss our NFL days, I've heard from a couple people. It's like, oh, where's the NFL stuff? It's like we're working a couple references here and there, like we did tonight, with the Ayuk stuff. But yeah, this is a college football show. This is what you tune in. This is what you're gonna get. But we will reference other sports, or if there's a big event, like maybe if the NASCAR champion or the World Series champion,
Yeah.
something major happens in sports or something. But yeah, I'll let Jay get going. Jay get to work. My ass, prep some food, and then get my ass to bed.
Yep. Just make sure you follow us on all of our social media accounts: Apple, Spotify, Instagram. Jump into Discord if you have any fantasy football questions, or if you're in we do got some NFL stuff in there. So, I mean, we still do play NFL too as well. And if you're into cards, I got a bunch of cards back there. We can talk trading cards and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a few things up in there. We got some good channels for all the college stuff in there. I post all the college waivers and stuff like that up in there. Top 4 guys. So I post that every week. So I mean, if you're new to college and don't got any fantasy questions, just jump into Discord. We'll help you out as much as possible over there. Yeah. Other than that, we'll be back next Wednesday. We'll let you know what's going on next Wednesday, 7 p.m. normal time. But so you'll get both Eli and I. So I think it's time for us to get up out of here now. So I gotta get to work. Time codes will be in there right after the show too as well. So
first 10 minutes, skip them.
Don't worry about the first 10 minutes. It is what it is. People are going to put their voice. We're going to voice our opinions, thoughts. So it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, if there's backlash, oh well, whatever. We're all men. And we're all men.
Come at the king, or what is that? The come at the king. You best not miss.
Yeah, right. That's right. All right, guys, we're gonna get up out of here. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We're out of rhythm. Catch you guys next time. See ya.